Hi everyone, welcome to week 3. Several of you have emailed me already with questions about assignments this week, and so I thought I would do a video to try to answer those all in one place. Bear with me, I have some notes over here that I will be glancing at, referencing, making sure I'm not forgetting anything in the video. The first thing is you'll notice that this week your library research begins. So under the course required readings for this week, you'll see different links to types of sources that you could use for your annotated bibliography and for your documented argument assignment. So be familiar with those. Those aren't really for you to read the content necessarily as much as to get a feel for what different types of sources will look like. The second is that there are lots of library-specific resources. There's an intro video to the library and some links on how to come up with a topic and then search well through the library resources for that topic. The last thing I want to point out here is that there's an English 102 link, and that is specifically for our class. So there's some helpful information there that you want to be sure that you read through thoroughly. The second thing is just kind of to give you some context for this week and what you're doing. It helps me to think of research as entering into a conversation. So like if you arrive at a party and you're alone, say, and there are lots of conversations going on around you, you might kind of stand closely to one conversation, listen to what people are talking about before you interject your thoughts and ideas into that conversation. The same kind of idea is what we're doing this week. So your annotated bibliography is you just kind of like leaning into a conversation, listening to what's being said, and then writing that down. Your documented argument paper is when you begin to say, that person's saying this, that person's saying that. Here's kind of where my perspective comes in. Here are my thoughts on that same idea. So if that metaphor is helpful for you, think about that this week. That's kind of what we're doing. The other thing is the librarian, Leanne Pang, is very helpful. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email her or email me. She's already reached out and said she wants to be a resource for us, so that's awesome. Along the lines of the conversation metaphor, the discussion this week you'll notice is a little bit different. This is where you will write your annotated bibliography. Again, that kind of like leaning into a conversation, listening to what's being said before you offer your own thoughts. So the annotated bibliography, read through that assignment prompt very carefully because it does explain everything that's expected of you. So your first discussion post this week will be an uploaded document that will have your annotated bibliography. You're doing 5 entries this week, five entries this week, and then 5 entries next week for a total of 10. So if that isn't totally clear as you read through that, I want to make that clear now. 5 entries this week, 5 entries next week. So that's your initial response. You're uploading a document that your peers will then open and then comment on. In your responses to each other, this part is where it could be a little tricky. What I'm looking for is a response that shows that you've carefully read each of the annotated bibliography entries for that particular person. So some things that you might want to comment on would be something like if somebody cites Wikipedia, you could say, hey, that's not such a credible source. Find a better source for that type of information. Or if somebody has, say, 3 websites, you'll notice on the assignment page only 2 are allowed. If somebody has 3 websites, then you could point out, hey, these first 2 look pretty good. The last one might not be the best source for that. Or just, here you have 3. You should only have 2. You could point out an APA formatting error. You could ask a question to help clarify the topic, or if you see this person is listening only to these pro voices in the conversation and not the con voices in the conversation, bring up the point that maybe they need some more balance in the types of sources that they're looking for. So you could comment on any one of those things, but I am still looking for your critical analysis, your contribution to that conversation, not just, hey, these look great, or these don't look great. I want more than that in your peer responses. So that's what I'm going to be grading for. All right. Next, you'll notice that it says peer review on, I think, the discussion as well as the ALA this week. And it did last week as well, and I'm sorry that I didn't address this earlier. Your peer response this week will be in the discussion. If you would like to get peer feedback in addition on your ALA, please feel free to email somebody else in the class. There's not, the way this course is structured right now, there's not a formatted way of doing that readily available to you, but please email each other, try to get somebody else's feedback on your ALA. I definitely encourage that in addition to my own feedback. Let's see. The ALA this week is called the documented argument, and your rough draft is due this week. You'll notice that 3 out of the 5 to 7 pages are due, and what's being asked of you is this. If we think about it again as a conversation, your research at this point, you are presenting the conversation, kind of familiarizing yourself. Imagine that somebody joins you and you're like trying to show them, okay, these people are on this side, this person's on that side, here are their different viewpoints, and here's kind of what I think. That's what you're doing. You're kind of introducing somebody else to this conversation and then offering what I see as a hypothesis. You will, at the end of your research, have a thesis statement that clearly says your stance, your perspective on the issue. But for now, it's kind of a hypothesis. You're making a guess at what your stance will be. And as you do research, you might decide that that stance is going to change, or you might decide, yeah, I'm sticking with that stance. Either way, you're offering some kind of a claim right now that may or may not change as you continue your research. Almost to the end here. The next point is your ALA 2, which is week 2's final draft of the rhetorical analysis. I gave an extension to everybody across the board to Tuesday at 11:55 p.m. Thank you so much for your patience with me this week as I graded. I'm going to try something a little bit different this week and get those to you more quickly. But anyway, that extension is 11:55 on Tuesday, so please feel free to take the time that you need for that. Finally, I will be returning emails and grading assignments today. Feel free to send me any questions you might have. Thank you already for having done so. If I haven't responded to you, that'll be coming soon. All right, take care.